Very interesting comments. What do you expect to happen in the next 24 hours with the legislation on the budget in Congress?
Well, I think, I'm hoping that we will not shut the government down, that calmer minds will prevail. It's possible that you'll see a shorter CR, a clean CR for a couple of weeks while we try to work out a way to get the Democrats to the table to negotiate. One of the ways we can do that is we can maybe put it together with the debt ceiling, that we know that they want to raise the debt ceiling. Sequester is another thing that we can address. Democrats are very much against the sequester, and from my point of view, the draconian cuts to the military are dangerous. So there may be an opportunity there to find some common ground, and that's what I'm hoping for. At the end of the day, I went to Congress to govern. We need to do that, but it's very difficult times. We're very polarized, so we got to work a little harder.
It's all going to take place by midnight tomorrow, Monday night?
Well, there's that's yet to be seen. We got to see what the Senate does. Right now, the ball is in the Senate's court. I can't speak for the Senate. They're a bit of a dysfunctional body also, so I think there's enough blame to go around. But at least the rhetoric has died down. And I think now an honest conversation has happened. Look, the president's health care plan is obviously the main focal point. Why all of a sudden are Republicans pushing so hard? Well, because the president himself has delayed it several times. So big business has gotten a delay, the big insurance companies, the big unions, many delays that the president has allowed, but not the American people. In light of the fact that UPS just announced that 15,000 of its employees, their spouses, are no longer going to be covered. That's a lot of people. 6,000 people lost their jobs because of the medical device tax. That was an unintended consequence. 7 million people, according to the CBO, will no longer have their coverage. These are real issues. So the wheels are coming off the president's health care plan, and we're just saying at this point, let's delay it. Let's figure out all these unintended consequences. Let's work on some of these things. The Senate agrees with us on the medical device tax, so that's a beginning. I think we can find common ground.
What was your position on when the president looked like he was going to call for some kind of bombing of Syria? What was your position going to be? Were you going to vote in favor of it if it would have come to a vote, or against it?
Well, when he first came out, and he came out strong right after listening to Secretary Kerry, I said that I would support the president. The use of chemical weapons sends a very bad precedent to Iran. But I had two caveats when I said that. I said, number one, the strike has to be quick. The window of opportunity is very small for the United States to restore its credibility in the region. That was number one. The second thing is it had to be a meaningful strike. It had to be something where we went after Assad personally, so that we weren't going after an area where there'd be a lot of casualties and unintended casualties, and we'd have to go after their Air Force, because that would send a strong message as well. The president wasn't willing to do that. So once the administration came back and said that that's not what they were going to do, I pulled my support immediately and was very outspoken on that. That a shot across the bow makes the United States look even weaker. That would send the opposite message to Iran that we want to send. Basically, that would send the message that you can use weapons of mass destruction, and we're just going to scare you or send a slap on the wrist. So that was untenable. I just think that the president handled it in a way that weakened our position and our credibility throughout the region, and unfortunately along the entire international stage.
Is there any indication about what faction of the many factions in Syria America or Israel can work with if Assad was replaced, or is Assad the best of the worst situations?
Unfortunately, right now, it seems that Assad is probably the best of the worst, because the rebels have been fully infiltrated by al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah. We can go on and on. These groups will certainly use chemicals. They will use all means possible, and there's no controlling them whatsoever. So at least with Assad, and again, there's no good answer here, but we do not want to recreate what happened in Egypt. We're in a position now where we're going to have to work with Assad. I don't think Assad wants to use chemical weapons. I do believe that Assad just wants to stay in power. For him, it is all about him. And I think that we may be able to control that situation certainly better than we can control it with these groups that we have no idea who they are. And I believe they're the worst of the worst. So it's the lesser of two evils.